Hello and welcome to part one of the Artos training series. Today we're going to go into a bit of detail on the valves that we have in our lineup. We have a lot of good content to discuss, so we'll kick it off here with what the presentation will include. We'll start off with the F943-VO as our most popular valve. We have a couple videos to share showing how it functions, how it should be plumbed, and how to replace the cartridges. And then we'll introduce the F973NS-VO, which is our brand new non-shared thermostatic valve. We'll show how to plumb the thermostat and volume controls independently. And we'll also have a video showing how to do the thermostat and diverter. And then lastly, we'll cover the differences between our two main pressure balance valves, the F962-VO and the F903A-40-VO. So we'll start off here with the F943-VO. This video kind of shows how it should be plumbed and how it will function. Without further ado, we'll start here.
This video is to highlight the features of our F943 shower valve. It comes with a 3/4 inch supply and a 3-way shared diverter, or shown here is a 2-way non-shared diverter, or if you put the plug on the side, a 2-way shared diverter, and again with the plug on the other side, a 2-way shared diverter, or if using 2 plugs as a single function, and depending where you put the plugs, you can have the single function off the top, the right, or the left, whichever works easiest. Next we'll show how the valve diverter works, starting from off. First position comes on, share between 1 and 2. Second position on, share between 2 and 3. Then only the third position and back to the off position. And with the plug in the top, you can see it's non-shared, only 1 or 2 outlets working. And here is a 2-way, and it shares between the functions if you put the cap on the left or the right hand side, as shown in the next slide too. And lastly, if you put 2 plugs in to make it a single function, then it just turns on and off just like a volume control. And that works for either side wherever you put the plugs. So I trust you found this useful to show how the F943 valve works. This has quickly become our most popular shower valve.
Next, we'll move on to how to replace the cartridges on the F943 valve.
This video is to show how the cartridges are replaced on the F943-VO thermostatic mixer with diverter. The trim needs to be removed to expose the valve in the wall. Firstly, loosen the handle set screw and remove the handles. Next, unloosen and remove the nuts that are holding the trim plate on. For the lower nut, this needs a set screw loosened before removing. Remove the trim plate and shut the water off to the valve by closing the service stops. Remove the outer spindle, and if the valve is set too deep in the wall, a basin wrench may be needed as shown in this video. The inner spindle will then simply pull off. Next, remove the nut that holds the cartridge in. The thermostat nut uses a 32mm socket or an adjustable wrench. The cartridges can now be pulled out. Both just use a friction fit. Either service or insert replacement cartridges. Screw the cartridge securing nuts back on. Push the inner spindles on. And tighten the outer spindles on. Open up the service stops and test for water tightness. Push the trim plate back on and secure with the nuts. push the handles back on and tighten the set screw.
So that was the F943 valve. Now we'll just go over a few details of the F973 NS-VO. And this is our brand new three-way non-shared valve, specifically designed for the California market. It now allows for California compliant three-function shower systems due to the non-shared feature. It features a Flus diverter cartridge made in Germany and a Vernet thermostat cartridge made in France. It has solid brass construction, as do all the valves. And we are working on a diverter cartridge that can be used to make it three-way shared as well. So now we'll go into a bit of detail on the thermostat and volume controls. This video outlines how to plumb it correctly. There's two important things to note on this video. The body jets must be plumbed in a loop as shown in order to have the equal pressure for each body jet. And also the water that comes out of the bottom outlet of the thermostatic valve will be at a cooler temperature than the water that comes out of the top, which is why it is not used in this video.
This video is to show how the separate volume controls work when paired with a thermostatic valve. The hot and cold supply is piped to the thermostatic valve first. This valve is the F904A-VO, and this handle controls the temperature only, and once the ideal temperature is found, it can be left. The mixed water is then piped off the top, and then tees off to each volume control. Each volume control is then piped to a specific outlet, and the volume controls each run independently, so all can be turned on, or one at a time, giving the user maximum functionality.
So this video is going to be along the same lines for the thermostat and diverter. Obviously the difference being that a diverter valve is used in place of the volume controls. And this video outlines how it will function.
This video is to show how the F909R-VO non-sharing diverter works when paired with a thermostatic valve. The hot and cold supply is piped to the thermostatic valve first, and the handle controls the temperature only, and once the ideal temperature is found, it can be left. The mixed water is piped off the top to the diverter valve. The valve has 4 positions. Top is off, turn 90 degrees clockwise to go to the first outlet, 90 degrees for the second outlet, another 90 degrees for the third outlet, and another 90 degrees to go back to off.
So now we'll move on to the differences between our two main pressure balance valves, the F962VO and the F903A-40VO. The F962VO is going to be a pressure balance valve that has the built-in volume control, and it has 6.3 gallon per minute flow rate, whereas the F903A-40VO this is going to be a progressive volume control valve with a 5.8 gallon per minute flow rate. And we do have videos outlining how both of these valves work, which we'll feature now. Starting off with the F962VO, this functions very similarly to how a lab faucet would, where you just tip the handle back to turn it on, and then side to side is going to control your temperature.
The F962VO pressure balance valve from the Trover collection is a very versatile valve. Simply tip the handle back to turn on and control the volume of water flow. The water flow will come out of the bottom port first, pull the spout diverter up to divert the water to the shower head.
Next, we'll move on to how the F903A-40 VO functions. Again, this is a progressive valve, meaning it just rotates through the different temperatures. And there is no volume control with this valve, which means that the pressure is going to be consistent through the whole cycle. So this video outlines how it functions.
This video shows how our F903A-40 VO pressure balance valve functions. It uses a Keirox progressive cartridge. Shown first is the hot and cold supply and the mixed water out of the top, the bottom outlet plugged, as used in a shower setup. Turn the handle counterclockwise to turn it on, starting at cold, moving through warm to hot. Please note that volume cannot be controlled with this. Next, we show it with the top outlet plugged and piped off the bottom outlet as used in a tub setup. And this unit has a reversible cartridge if it's installed upside down or in a back-to-back install, and the hot and cold supply needs to be reversed.
So that concludes the valve training, the first video in this Artos training series. We trust you found it useful, and feel free to reach out with any questions that you may have.